You are not concerned with this slightly weaker forecast.
I think if you looked up sandbag special in the dictionary, you'd see Amazon's ticker. Because look, the actual quarter beat on AWS, strength on advertising, and I think on the retail side, they have massive momentum into 2025. I think, look, now, just even take a step back from Mag 7, these CapEx and all these numbers, I think you even feel more bullish about the AI revolution when we talk about the AI
better entry
party.
point?
Just because of what's happened in terms of CapEx. I mean, go back to DeepSeek even, a week and a half ago. Now look at these numbers. I mean, they're doubling down in terms of spending, and I think it continues to really be now the second, third stages of this AI revolution playing out.
If we want to go, I want to go to AWS for a second though, because if you back out FX, they grew at 19%. That just hit estimates. They missed on revenue on that estimate by a hair. Isn't that the problem? That expectations are so high that if you actually just meet it, it's not good enough, because you have, Microsoft growing at 30% when it comes to their cloud business.
Well, I think 24 hours, and this is a stock that's green. I mean, I'd be shocked if it's not.
Well, already it was down 7% and now it's up by 2%.
But it goes back to these prints come out, the bears come out of hibernation mode, try to paint some negative narrative. But the reality is that, to your point, AWS, I actually think Jazzy and the team are actually on offensive mode. I think actually continuing to gain share. Look, Google clearly had a little softer on the cloud side. Microsoft was more of a capacity issue. But I think what this really shows is more and more companies are heading down this path because of AI. We are in a fourth industrial revolution. And you're starting to now see, of course, Messi of AI, Palantir, and others, you're seeing it spread to the rest of tech.
You called it a sandbag special. I mean, all the guidance that we got from the other Mag 7 names, Nvidia, of course, has yet to report in about 3 weeks. How low did they set the bar for themselves because of all the uncertainty that's out there?
Look, I think if you're Jensen, the godfather, of AI, listen to these conference calls. I mean, he's sitting there with his crocodile leather jacket.
It's crocodile leather.
Crocodile leather. I mean, look, but it could be wearing the regular black leather jacket.
Okay.
But, I mean, sitting there probably, feeling very good about these earnings because it's very similar to what we see with our checks. Demand and supply is 15 to 1. And there's only one red phone that you could call for that chip. It's Nvidia. And it just goes back to DeepSeek and all the worries. We basically have $2 trillion of AI CapEx in the next 3 years, where this is really a company, and of course AMD and others will eventually join, but it's an Nvidia-led market, and that's why I continue to think this sell-off that we saw in Nvidia, it's a table pounder.
So when you take a look at the earnings estimates, say for the Mag 7, they're still growing 18%, but they are coming down from their peak. And do you feel like that is reflected in valuations right now, the slowing growth?
But I view it more as just a digestion period before.
So it doesn't keep slowing. It's just like it's going to come back. It's like
exactly.
a U-shape.
It's a U-shape. It's a great point because a lot of it is really capacity. These build. If you think about all this CapEx, call it $400 or $500 billion of tech CapEx, even in 2025, where that spending is going to come through. It's 26, it's 27. You look at even when you think about robotics, autonomous, enterprise use cases. When we think it's going to be about 10% of IT budgets in terms of AI, look, you go into this weekend, despite all the noise, you feel much more even bullish about tech.
While analysts like Aswath Damodaran are casting shadows of doubt on the Nvidia stock after February 26th, with predictions of a potential drop in Nvidia's stock, analysts like Dan Ives beg to differ and are more bullish than ever. The entire financial world is abuzz, awaiting the next decisive move in this unfolding drama, with a watchful eye on tech giants such as Microsoft and Amazon, who are major patrons of Nvidia's innovations. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
If you're China's DeepSeek and you're looking at these results, what's your takeaway?
I think your takeaway is, look, I mean, they have a very strong model. Open source continue to gain massive traction. But anyone that believed the fictional Netflix story, that DeepSeek in terms of 6 million and in terms of this is really going to take down the overall AI infrastructure, this earnings season goes totally against that. I think what DeepSeek showed, great models, that's going to become more and more of a commoditization, but it's an arms race. But that's the DeepSeeks, whether it's China or US or wherever they are, that's bullish for overall AI spend because of the GPU spend. So I never viewed it as a negative.
Right.
I just view it as competition. which I view as a positive.
Which makes sense given how much money was in this sector overall.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if it, though, broadens the AI plays, like software, maybe not over Nvidia, but like own the software guys, because maybe this is going to become cheaper for them to adopt, for example.
And that's why the Messi of AI, Palantir, I mean, that's really the one carp in that Mount Rushmore, because they're the first ones seeing it. So look at those numbers in terms of Palantir. Now,
untamed organic growth, right?
It's untamed organic growth, but if you look at it, is that they're continuing to play chess, and others are playing checkers at the kids' table. Now what's starting to happen is you look at other software names, Snowflake, Mongo, I think you'll see with Oracle and others, and of course Condon at the FTC, you're going to see a lot more M&A in software, and I think this is just overall very, very positive for tech sector as that spreads.
Which companies in the tech sector lose out right now?
Yeah, I think when you think about ones that are losing out, you got to look at maybe a name like Cisco in terms of some of the hardware plays. I think that's one.
The networking gear maker.
Networking gear maker. You could have said year and a half, 2 years ago, IBM. Now IBM is a gainer because everything Arvind and the team have done there. So I think it's one, these are going to be kind of fork in the road situations, but software will continue to dominate. Hardware will ultimately, give up share. But that's why these tech companies, it is an arms race. You have to spend. If Street ultimately worries about that, I think those are just near-term issues.
Okay, so to that point, what is the CapEx number we could hear on the call that would freak investors out, that would make you buy the stock?
I mean, to me, there's no cap. I mean, I think CapEx could ultimately be up. I mean, if you think about 15, 20% above the Street. But if you look at what you want to see them do that, because Jassy and the team, ultimately from a CapEx perspective, if they had a lighter CapEx, what does that show? That shows everyone else is going to be spending massive amounts and they're not.
So the CapEx shows conviction.
It shows conviction, it shows determination, it shows AI, because the last thing you want in this AI party, it's 10 p.m., it was 9 p.m., you don't want them behind the velvet ropes being like, hey, let us in with Palantir, Carp, Jensen, everyone else. You want them in that AI party on the dance floor.
At the heart of this debate is Aswath Damodaran's latest forecast for Nvidia, anticipating a 37% decline in its share price. Known affectionately as the Dean of Valuation, Damodaran's insights are seldom overlooked. But what is driving this bearish prediction? Damodaran points to DeepSeek, a Chinese startup that could upend the current AI landscape. Despite DeepSeek's claims of creating breakthrough AI tools at a fraction of the cost compared to giants like OpenAI, the industry remains skeptical. But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
Dan, it's great to have you. So we had the update from Meta here this morning just in terms of their spending plans for AI exceeding the Street's expectations. Is this a sign of just what's to come here over the next week or two?
Yeah, look, I think it's just get the popcorn out. Because in my opinion, this is the start of this massive build out of AI CapEx that I think the Street's massively underestimated. I mean, think about the 80 billion number from Microsoft. Now you got Meta. And it's the multiplier. For every dollar spent on NVIDIA chip, there's an $8 to $10 multiplier across the rest of tech. That's bullish for tech. And of course, with Trump and Stargate, I think it just shows this fourth industrial revolution just starting.
You hear of a $60 billion type of spend that is coming forward from Meta on that AI. What is the multiplier from Meta for those dollars that are going out and being invested into some of their efforts?
It's about use cases, because ultimately when you look at Meta, the AI capabilities on advertising, on subscriber growth, on ultimately building out businesses that don't even exist today. Because it's all about monetizing that install base. And there's no different than the way that the hyperscalers have done with Microsoft, Amazon, Google. And now it's going to be start playing out on the consumer side. And I think, look, Zuckerberg and Meta, they're one step ahead here in terms of where this is all heading. Clearly, Google's heading down the same path. And I think it just shows the Street is underestimating what the growth's going to look like for tech, not just next week, but for 2025, 2026, where I think tech stocks are up another 25% this year. especially with a lot of the regulatory sweep the legs, in the Karate Kid reference, in terms of where that's all been going.
Let's talk a little bit more about the regulatory efforts in the Trump administration, maybe the impact it's going to have on some of these names. Let's kick it off with Tesla, since we're getting those results on Wednesday there. They've been the outperformer, the Mag 7, since we got the election results here.
A key element of the discussion is whether this could signify the dawn of a commoditized chip era, transforming prized hardware into common goods. However, this narrative doesn't hold water for everyone. Most notably, Nvidia's deep-rooted relationships with tech giants like Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, and others act as pillars supporting its current standing. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Dan, I'm curious, why is it viewed as such a catalyst here for Tesla, given the fact that we are going to see a bit of a clawing back here of some of those Biden-era policies that were very pro-EV?
Yeah, look, I think when you look at the $7,500 credit, and that's more of maybe a negative for new entrants, Detroit Big Three and others. For Tesla, the game here, I think 90% of what's going to drive the stock, it's the autonomous and the AI future, because that's the ultimate story here. Because when you think about it, I think the autonomous piece could be worth $1 trillion alone. The biggest issue has been regulatory. That now is going to drastically change under the Trump administration. Obviously, Musk playing, I think, a strong role in terms of where this is all going. And that's why I think the stock is actually underestimating what this is going to do to the story in terms of cyber cabs, autonomous, FSD, robotics. And that's why I think there's a $2 trillion market cap. Next week starts what I believe is going to be a massive year ahead.
A lot of that regulatory red tape, though, has been delegated to the states with regard to the full self-driving and implementation on the roads. So to what extent do you expect a federal force to come forward and rescind that from the states, and then it add into Tesla's outlook?
I mean, you nailed it, Brad, because, to me, that's where it's all going. It's going to be taken to the federal perspective, federal roadmap. Ultimately, where autonomous is going to go, you're almost going to need like a federal license to operate it, even on a fleet perspective. The states will have a role, but it goes back to you have to take it away from the kids at the little kids table at Thanksgiving. Federal needs to actually rule this, because that's why when you look where this has gone, it's gone nowhere. And it speaks to Trump coming in, a lot of these AI initiatives. It started with Stargate. Autonomous is going to be the next piece, I think, in terms of a federal roadmap coming out. And that lays the groundwork for what's going to be a new age, when it comes to not just for Tesla, but I think when you think about Waymo and others and just overall autonomous.
So where does that leave Nvidia investors? Contrary to Damodaran's cautionary outlook, there's a rising contrarian belief that these dips in Nvidia's stock, especially ahead of their upcoming earnings report, present phenomenal buying opportunities. What's your take? Are you bearish like Wall Street or bullish like Dan Ives? Share your thoughts. Finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.